What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. I am Mark Williams with my colleague
Victor Castro.
and we're just two dudes who do real estate for a living. And you are being controlled to rent. And we're going to get in today, we're going to talk about a growing trend in America about new construction generally being built for rentals. There's whole communities in cities of single-family homes that are just being built as rentals. And the most talked about topic is all of these investment firms like BlackRock who are buying large percentages of single-family homes. And in some cities, they are the number one buyer of single-family homes, and in return, turning those homes into rentals. And the question is, Victor, are we headed to a society where only a select few will be homeowners and everyone would just be forced to pay rent?
That's surely what it looks like, Mark. I mean, we see it every single day. We have conversations with numerous people, and we speak about sticker shock and the price to pay monthly on your mortgage versus the amount that you're going to have to pay for rental. Maybe it's half the price, maybe it's a little less than that, or maybe it's a little bit more than that, but owning is a little bit more costly, obviously.
And that's a big topic when you do any research on this. It says, with the interest rates hovering around 7%, affordability being an issue, that you are seeing a decline in like home ownership of, just the average person buying a home, and more of an increase in investment companies purchasing. And the reason is investment companies don't take loans. They have the money to buy these homes cash.
Yeah.
Right? And this is something we always preach about. Why do you think these investment companies are investing their money in homes instead of things like Bitcoin or the stock market?
Because we all need a place to live, Mark. At the end of the day, you need a roof over your head. And that's one thing, that will never go away unless we want to be homeless and live in the streets. I mean, you need a roof over your head, right? So I think it's a secure investment.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, and one of the best known investors, Warren Buffett, his whole strategy is buy and hold, not buy and sell. And we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. Since they've been collecting data on home prices over the last 75 years, what was it? It increased like 69 years. There's been an increase. 69 of the 75 years.
There's only been 3 years where we had a negative, I think.
I think it was 6, but during the crash was like a significant negative.
Right.
The other negatives were like below 1%.
Right. It's like 0.2%,
Yeah.
0.02.
So you literally have, I don't even know what you know what? I know we're on this podcast, and let me do on the calculator, because that's a crazy percentage, right? And so let's do 69 divided by 75. 92% of the time. So it's a 92% since they collected data that home prices have increased. If I was to tell anybody listening to this that I have an investment fund that if you put $1,000 in, 92% over 75 years, 92% of those years, you're going to get an increase. I think everybody would jump on that. And that's what these companies are doing.
Yeah.
And to your point, we got to live somewhere. It's guaranteed. They're guaranteed to make money on their money. And when you're buying cash, so, I, as someone that owns a rental property, and here's the thing, like, there's ways to get wealthy in this. There's so many different ways to get wealthy, whether you invent something, you strike your rich on Bitcoin, or, you got into an investment strategy, you own a company, you sell the company. One of the ways I believe in making money is in building a real estate portfolio. And what people don't realize is once you get in, as someone like myself, I don't have millions of dollars. If I'm going to buy, let's just say I'm going to buy another rental in San Antonio, where I currently own my other rental. And let's just say that home is $250,000. I just need to come up with 20%. So I need to come up with $50,000. Okay. Then I'm going to, with that $50,000, I'm going to owe the bank $200,000. I'm going to get a loan for $200,000, depending on my interest rate. My ideal scenario is I can rent it out to cover my mortgage, insurance, and a little bit of extra just for maintenance. If I break even, I'm good because the home's going to, with the data over 75 years, it's going to appreciate. So essentially, I'm taking $50,000 and that house is like a savings account. And it's making money more than the bank. How much is a savings account at a bank? It's like 0.01. I'd make like $5 a year on like, so think about it. If the home price goes up 1% on the 250,000,
$2,500.
Yeah. And then if it goes up 10%, no, it's 1% would be, is it?
250. Yeah. 1%.
So, but I'm just saying though, like, okay, if it goes up 3%, national average is 3%. I made $7,500. Then the next year goes up 3%. And then the next year goes up 3%. So no, you're right. It's 2,500. So
yeah, 2,500. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is national average on home prices is 3%. So I'm making $7,500 on my $50K. And then on top of that, the tenant is paying off my mortgage balance.
That's a good investment to me. If you ask me.
In 30 years, if everything stayed the same, in 30 years now it's breaking even, I turned that $50,000 into $250,000. So I made $200,000 in 30 years on that money, right? But that's not the case because prices go up, population growth, development, all that.
That home's going to be worth more money.
Exactly. So think about it. These investment companies who have all this extra cash, they're buying a home. They buy a home. They buy that same home in San Antonio for $250,000, but they pay cash. So their only overhead is property tax and maintenance, right? So let's just say rent is $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year, and let's call property taxes $4,000 and maintenance another $1,000. So they're netting $19,000 a year on that property. That's a great return on investment.
They're going to get their money back and more.
Yeah, because they don't have a loan.
Yeah.
So we're actually starting to see this where we're at in the Bay Area. I mean, even in Concord, Pleasant Hill, Walnut Creek, wherever there's land, to me, maybe you've seen something different, but every time I see there's like a piece of land that's open, it's not houses they're building. It's like luxury condos.
That's the case here in the Bay Area for sure. Look at everything that's going on around the Bay Area rapid transit system, right? BART, which is a train that connects the entire Bay Area, most for the most part, East Bay, South Bay, in the peninsula, right? So if you look around the developments in most of those BART stations, all you see is condos being built and shopping centers and stuff like that because they want to make it like feasible and more appealing to someone to be close to transportation that can take you to work instead of buying your own house in the East Bay that's going to cost you more money. And now you have to commute as well. So you see that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even starting to see right there in Antioch and Oakley where that 160 freeway is.
Yeah. Rio Vista.
Yeah, but not Rio Vista. Like actually in Antioch on where Main Street turns into 18th. They built that big neighborhood of all those rentals. It's where the old drive-in used to be in Antioch. There's a big plot of land on both sides. One's in Oakley and one's in Antioch. And they're like, oh, they're developing this land. They're going to build out there in the suburbs, they usually build homes, like single-family homes. Next thing you know, on the Antioch side, it's like 8 or 10 apartment complexes. And on the Oakley side, it's like 4 or 5 apartment complex buildings. So, you're even starting to see it in, suburban areas. Yeah. You're even trying to see, hey, we're going to start building rentals, right? And that's because they know there's a housing shortage. So why give the opportunity to make money to the common folk when we can just
Keep it to ourselves.
Yeah, keep it to ourselves. And, the crazy part is it's a business. I know a lot of people don't look at it like that, but as a renter, you're essentially someone's customer and you're paying for a service.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to rent. You just got to know what it is, and I feel like, to your point, I think in a lot of urban areas, you're seeing more and more rentals. There's less and less new homes being built in urban areas.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, Mark, because a lot of the homes that I've been taking my clients to go, see, showing them these homes, they're owned by investment companies.
Yeah.
They're either flippers or someone that had the home long term, and now they're cashing out and going to buy more real estate.
Yeah.
In most cases, they're buying apartment complexes and stuff, multi-unit, because it's a better investment
return. Yeah, you have
return
more,
of investment.
You have more clients.
Exactly.
Right. You have more clients. And the statistic, I pulled up this statistic, and it's from 2024, but it had 65.6% of homes in America are owner occupied, meaning essentially 66% of homes in America are owned by the people that live in it, which would mean 34% are rental units, right? So that's almost like 2 out of 3. So 2 out of 3 homes are owner occupied. So 1/3 of homes are rentals. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of eye-opening if you think, because you think like, oh, everyone, you would think that number would be less, but that's a pretty significant amount of over 1/3 of the homes available are owned by an investor. So that means 1/3 of America rents. Is that number going to keep increasing?
That's what it seems like. And for sure, it will keep increasing, and it's up to you. You, the viewer, you, the listener. If you're going to continue renting, then that number obviously will keep increasing.
Yeah. And look, I want to read some statistics that I pulled up. And this has to do with, to the point we're making, that, yeah, rentals are going to keep increasing, is some of the investments by some of these corporate companies. It's pretty crazy when you look at these numbers. In 2023, the 10 largest institutional investors owned about 430,000 single-family rentals, purchasing 1,500 to 3,500 homes per month. So these investment companies are looking to purchase almost 3,500 homes per month. That's crazy. The market share peaked at around 5% in 2022, but it dropped in 2024. And, that depends too, because we're talking about these big investment firms, but there are ones that aren't big and they do financing as well. But yeah, man, I mean, this is pretty, so a widely,
it's alarming.
Yeah. So there was a claim that these investment companies were buying all the homes, which isn't true. And however, there are some cities where the amount of homes bought by investors, there was one city in Atlanta, one area in the Atlanta area, where an investment company bought 90% of the homes being built in that neighborhood.
So new construction.
Yeah. Or not even just 90% of all homes for sale in that neighborhood were bought by one investment company. So that means that investment company targeted a neighborhood, said, hey, this is a very popular neighborhood where people like to live. The cost to buy is probably at a good entry point, and the rental amount is probably at a good point. And they said, we're going to buy as many homes in this neighborhood as possible. So they bought over 90% of the homes. That's insane, dude.
That's pretty crazy.
I saw someone post on their social media, one of the agents out there in the Las Vegas area that has a big social media following. He just posted a brand new subdivision of all single-family homes, and it's all rentals.
Meaning you can't buy it.
Yeah, and
you can only rent it.
And the slogan was, "We make home ownership easy," or something like that.
Oh yeah, I saw that post. Yes. But hey, man, that just goes to show you, like, propaganda, all these headlines and stuff.
Yeah.
And people out there actually buy into those things.
I mean, look, home ownership is not, I don't want to say it's easy, but it takes a lot.
Yes.
It takes money, resources, time. There's certain factors. You have to have your credit. Like, the process is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, everyone we help, you guys watch our videos. If you don't, look at our Instagram at the MVP Real Estate. And then you can pull up all the welcome homes we do. Everyone's having a great time. Buying a home is a fun, memorable, once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It should be.
It should be, when done right.
When working with MVP.
Yeah, exactly. when working with us. But, like this neighborhood slogan, we make it easy. They're not lying. The only lie is you're not owning the home. You're just renting the home.
We make home ownership. That's a flat out lie.
I wonder if
that's a slap to your face, bro.
I wonder if they sign. They're probably signing long-term leases.
That's probably what it is.
They probably have options. They probably say, "Hey, if you want to be here for 1 year, it costs this," right? And that's what a lot of these places do. If you want to be here for 2 years, it costs this. They'll probably say, "Hey, because it is a single-family home," they're probably saying, "Hey, we'll warranty the home, like new builds do anyways, but we'll warranty the home. And 2, we're granting like long-term leases. Maybe it's like 5, 10-year leases at a flat rate."
So you're saving money long-term.
Technically, they're making, because when you rent, your landlord can raise your rent, right? But that's the thing. When you own a home, your price is the price. The only reason the price changes is if you refinance, or it can change a little bit depending on like insurance, and your property tax can go up a little bit depending on the state you're in. But for the most part, you pay the same amount for 30 years. But like with the rental, it can fluctuate. So maybe they're saying, "Hey, you can get into this brand new home with no money out of pocket, first month rent, small deposit."
It's a catch phrase, and I look at it as, and this is the way I look at it, keeping you slave, man.
Yeah.
It's just, here we're making it so easy for you to be in a home at the most affordable price possible, but in return, you miss out on the benefits of owning it.
Yeah.
I think those people, eventually, at some point down the line, hopefully, it might be a little too late, they're gonna have a reality check and be like, why did I do this?
Yeah, because like in like a neighborhood like that, like Las Vegas and the surrounding cities is a booming area. Like the housing is booming, stuff's moving out there from California, businesses are moving out there, and okay, you get into this rental, and you're like, "Oh, cool, 5 years." Now, 5 years down the line, what if this company's like, "Hey, we're gonna start selling these rentals"?
You have no control over your living situation.
Yeah, but they go, "Oh, we'll give you first right to buy it." Well, guess what? It's going to be at whatever the market rate is 5 years from now.
It's going to be higher.
You probably could have got it a lot cheaper
if you would have done it from the get-go.
Exactly.
Let's do the math. If you're in it for 5 years, 10 years, or whatever.
Okay, so
and you're renting it, and by the way, I'm almost sure in the contract at some point they say they're going to raise your rent X amount.
Oh yeah.
They have to. There is no way you're going to keep the same rent for 10 years, 15 years.
Let's just say a single family home out there is going to rent for $3,000. Let's just say $3,000.
Times
$3,000 a month.
Times 12. 12 months a year.
And
36,000.
And stay there for 5 years.
Times 5. $180,000.
$180,000 that you will never
down the drain
ever see again. And I can tell you right now, we've been looking out there for a possible another property to have like as a second home or an investment. And you can get into a home out in like the Henderson, Las Vegas area in like the mid-4s, like brand new build.
$450.
Yeah.
Nice house.
$450, nice, brand new.
Maybe with the pool?
No backyard. They don't give them.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean you can buy an existing house. My brother bought in Henderson an existing home for I think they gave like 408, built in like the late 80s. It was nice though, and had a pool, big backyard. I mean, you can get something if you want it brand new like this neighborhood. Then you have a dirt backyard, but over 5 years, you're not throwing 180 grand down the drain.
So let's do the math. Let's say your mortgage is obviously higher than what your rent is. Let's say instead of $3,000, and let's be realistic.
It'd be like 4,000.
Let's just say it's 4,200.
Yeah.
Let's say 4,200. Yeah, you're paying $1,200 more per month.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have a fixed rate for 30 years.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend
that can go down.
Yeah, that can go down when you refinance
Could
at
never
a lower.
Go up, but can
let's
go
just
down.
pretend it never falls.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend.
Okay.
And you're paying $1,200, right?
Yeah.
So versus renting, at what point do you break even?
Well, you would figure the way they structure mortgages is they're going to be interest heavy, like your first 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So let's just say, for simple math, half of your payment is going to interest.
Okay.
So $2,100 is going to interest.
Okay.
The other $2,100 is going towards your principal. So I would just take the $4,200 and then times that by 12 and then times that by 5 is $252,000. Now, if you divide that by 2, about 126 have gone to interest, and then the other 126 paid off the principal balance. So, but you can't look at it that way too because you're not factoring in the
appreciation portion. That is correct.
So yes, you are paying interest on that, but you're also put away. Even with no interest, you put away $126,000. Like that money's there for you. It's paid off the balance of the home. So if you were to sell the home and you sold it for the exact same price you bought it for, you're going to get $126,000 in your pocket. It's like almost you put that money in the savings account, plus the appreciation. So yeah, you're not completely out of money, right? You're going to pay some interest. The interest paid in that time is still less than rent.
My point here, renting versus, paying a mortgage, we're essentially proving to you that your mortgage is actually making you money. You're keeping that money, that investment that you initially made and stuff, you're actually getting that money back versus renting. You're not going to see a percent at all in the lifetime that you're at that property.
And there's ways to minimize that interest hit. You can make an extra payment a year.
Yeah.
An extra payment a year cuts your 30-year mortgage down to like 23 years. That's 7 less years of interest.
And you have to make sure that extra payment goes towards your principal.
No, you do it as an extra payment. If you just do it towards principal, it just goes towards principal.
Okay.
So when you make that extra payment, you just make an extra payment.
Oh yeah,
and they split it interest and
right.
principal.
Yeah.
But
that's how you minimize the interest.
But then again, you can pay if you get a bonus. Some loans will let you pay every $25,000 extra in principal. You can do something called recasting the loan, where they don't refinance the loan, they just what they call re-amortize the payment, meaning they recalculate your interest and you pay less interest.
At the end of the day, it's less.
Yeah, you can do something called biweekly payments where you pay every 2 weeks. And what that ends up doing is it ends up equaling one extra payment a year without really having to remember, right? If the lender lets you do it. And then you got to factor in nationwide at 3% appreciation. If you have a 5% mortgage rate, and then you're appreciating at 3%, technically, for the sake of simple math, your interest rate's only 2% because the home's making money to offset that interest rate. And in some years, like a pandemic year or certain years where you have like a 19% increase, think of everyone that bought before the pandemic. They essentially wiped away a big portion of the interest that they're paying on their loan. That's why people aren't selling. You bought the home for $550 and now it's worth $850. Why would I sell? I have $300K in free equity.
I mean, if you're gonna have to sell there and go buy, you're buying at a higher rate, right? More than twice as much as what you bought it at.
What I'm getting at is like having they're locked into like a 3% mortgage rate.
Yeah.
Like over the life of a loan, that $500,000 at a 3%, you're gonna end up paying like 800 something thousand for the home if you take all 30 years. What I'm getting at is they essentially got that interest for free just because of the increase in the price of the home. You get what I'm getting at?
Right.
Like, essentially, they really did just buy the home for sticker price because they were gifted another $300,000 in equity. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have that as a renter.
Yeah.
You don't get those perks.
You have no options.
And that's what they want. They want to keep you
controlled.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, they want to keep you needing them to live somewhere. And when we say they, we're talking about the big time investment companies. They want to control. I mean, even small time investment companies want rentals. It's a great way to build wealth. And look, not everybody's going to be in a position to buy a home. So there's always going to be a demand for rental properties.
So let's shift this to how do we get this to stop or slow down? How do we get the viewer or the listener to shift their way of thinking into owning something and seeing the value that, you know, it's going to bring them?
Yeah. And it's just, that's a great question. And, you know, it's really dependent on the person. Like, what are their goals in life? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Not everybody wants to be on the hook for a mortgage, but you got to pay rent. You know, it's like, I think it comes where it's going to be to really sit down and think about like your financial situation and to get financially like literate. Like, I feel that's a big issue is people don't understand how money actually works. They think money is like a tangible item. They think, oh, I have this $20 bill in my pocket.
I gotta save it.
Or that's how money works. Money is made up. Why does money exist? It's not based on gold anymore. It's not backed by gold. You don't have $20 worth of gold. It used to be if you had a $20 bill, it was $20 worth of gold. Like, you can go turn it in and get $20 worth of gold. It's just a piece of paper now that is given a pretend value. It's like real life Monopoly, right? So, like, okay, so when that money is not attached to anything, nothing tangible, the value of it is really just based on what the world says the value is. But when it's connected to something, to real property, then the value of that money is the property. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just like, okay, you buy this car for $50,000, you bought it cash. That $50,000, the value of that $50,000 is now the car's value. So if that car goes down, you losing money on that investment.
Which it does.
It's not an investment, but yeah. That's what I'm getting at. That's why, in all honesty, when buying a car, it actually makes, a lot of times it makes more sense, depending on the finance rate, to finance it. Because you got to really think, like, is this my forever car? Probably not. Am I going to get, if you're like me, you're getting rid of it in like 3 to 4 years. You know, I'm only out the money I paid for those 3 to 4 years. And then I sell it for the balance, as opposed to being out all that money, right? So when it comes to a home, now that money, that value, your down payment is tied to the value of that home. There's something tangible that has a value in real life. But if that down payment, that 20% is in your savings account and the US dollar tanks, the purchase power of that home is no longer as valuable.
Which is what's
or
going,
inflation happens.
Which is, you know, it's what's going on right now in China.
Yeah.
They have I don't know if anyone knows this, but there is a 2008 happening in China right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have a real estate problem. They have too much real estate out there, not enough people buying.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things, right? There's no value to that dollar. So as someone that's renting and looking to build wealth, I would advise you really got to sit back and say, what's the strategy to build wealth? What's your risk tolerance? If you're risky, then you may want to get into like crypto or investments. If you want something stable, based on historical data, based on what all these big time investment firms are doing, it looks like real estate, not just any real estate, residential real estate is the way to go. And we're not advisors. We're just giving facts.
Right.
I'm not telling you guys how to spend your money, but yeah, man, I think it's pretty crazy, man. Like, do you want to continue in that rental cycle? That's really an answer only you can answer for yourself. But with that, Victor, I really have not much more to talk about on this topic. Any last words?
No. I mean, I feel like we were pretty clear with our message. Renting is only throwing away your money. Owning is owning. So,
well said. And with that, guys, we look forward
to winning with you.